when somebody produces an album and it comes out, they only know the song, the fame of that person, right? And when it says that track was produced by, they don't know exactly, and nobody ever will, apart from the artist or band, how much work that producer has done on that track. They'll never ever know. A producer can walk away from a successful album and say, boy, I worked so hard on that album. But really sat back going, sounds good to me. That mix is great, the engineer's done a great job. That's good, and they get their name on it. Depending on the success of that album, would depend on how much they boast about it. Because no one knows what a producer has done on it. Their question is, what does a producer do? So I said, well, a producer to me is like an arranger. He picks the parts, he picks the tempo, he picks the parts, he works with each individual and motivates them to play better than they think they can play on the song. Either they play too much, so you tell them to play less. You try not to take away their identity, because then it's like it's all around you then. You've got way too much responsibility. So you just say, how about trying this fill? Instead of just filling after every line, do-do-do-do-do, I love you so much, just play less is more, you know? So when they find out that, and then I solo the bass drum with the bass, see if they connect, and if they start connecting, oh, I didn't know you played that on the bass drum. Boom, boom, boom. Oh wow, oh my God, it's locking. Oh, it sounds funky now. Nice. I go, great, now the guitarist is listening. Wow, I was playing all around that. Oh, I'll follow that more now, because there's more of a backbeat now. So all of a sudden it starts coming together. And that's what a producer does. He's an overseer for the actual arrangement of the players playing their instruments. Then he thinks of harmonies. Then he cultivates that band to play better than they've ever played before, and pushes the envelope with them. I'd like a harmony here. Can you play a third? Oh dear, let me just work that out. You know, and you just push it, and you put, well, can you take it home and learn a third and a fifth for me? Oh, okay, Dennis. And they come back, and they're all happy because now they can play a third and a fifth. And then they start hearing themselves being built, you know, like a chord structure. And they start going, wow, this is taking shape, and it's getting more radio, say, or more giving them their own identity. That's the hardest thing. Sometimes players overplay, or they underplay, and you sort of go, it sounds flat. It doesn't go anywhere. What market are you going for? How would you classify your music? No, you know, then it's like rap. It's not rap. You know, you're playing, you know, so you just like work together. So when I explain to the band that a producer is like an arranger, and if you say, well, what does an arranger do? It's like each member of this band is an arranger. You play your instruments, you're arranging your part to get in with the track. That's what I do, but I'm an overseer of each player. And they go, oh, okay. And then they started opening up more. Okay, Dennis, so what do you hear, what sort of arrangement do you hear on this song? Now that sounds better than saying, what are you going to produce? Produce doesn't sound right, does it? More of an arranger. Well, I hear the arrangement being a little faster in tempo, less on the drums, focusing, playing a little more on the bass. You're just hitting root notes. So they sort of go, wow, okay, can we rehearse? Yeah, we'll get together, we'll rehearse, and we'll see how it feels after that. And after if we all agree that it's going in the right direction, then we're hitting a home run. But if they're and a lot of people, they'll fight it because, you know, they were either the leader of the band, or they had more say than they did before. All of a sudden I've come along, and now I'm telling them, and some of them don't want to give up some of the range, not all the range, but some of it. Give me the freedom just to, because you can't knock aside 40 years experience. You forget the albums I've done, but the 40 years experience is like, it should help. It should in some ways help someone. And then when you say, well, what have you done? And you go, well, I've done Jeff Beck, and I've done Judas Priest, and I've done something in that category of where they are musically, then they give you the respect, like, wow, you did those albums? Oh my God. You know, and it's like, yeah, I helped on those albums. I was the overseer on those albums. You know, so It's like it's mind games and word games. But once they give you that trust, then you've hit a home run. If they fight you, then you know you have problems all the way through whatever track you're going to do. Because some of them don't want to relinquish. They're the leader of the band, and that's the way it is. And the more bands, like my ex-manager asked me to go to MySpace. Remember I told you this? And I went through. I didn't know 10 years ago or 8 years ago that there was 10 million bands on MySpace. Now, I don't know about you. It's like you've got to find your own identity. Now that's hard enough when there's 10 million bands out there. I mean, that's like batting 0 out of 0. How can you be original? So then you go like, okay, so what I did, I listened, I went, okay, and I started listening, and as soon as I heard the counting, and then as soon as they started playing, I went, next, because they weren't locked. The sound was terrible, and I know they don't have money maybe to get a good sound, but there are ways of making yourselves, you've got parents, you've got friends, there are ways of making a little bit of money, just even to get the bass and drums sounding good. Guitars, you can always, it can various amplifiers, but drums are so important. It's a foundation. So borrow some money, do whatever you've got to do. $200 to go in the studio for 3 hours. You got it. You made the effort to sound better than maybe 100,000 other bands. Sonically, as soon as I hear that, people will go, oh, who's this? Because it sounds better already. And then the music content, see what that's like. But when I went through 700 bands in a week, I listened to 7. You've got to imagine, and I had a foolscap pad, and I write first band, write their name down, what kind of music it was, and I listened and I went, you only allowed 3 to 4 tracks on MySpace, and I'd listen to all of them, what they had to offer. I wouldn't just condemn it immediately. I'd condemn that track and go, oh no, that's not for me, go on to the next one. I'd listen to all 4, move on to the next band. 700 bands, I picked 8 bands. And one of the bands was on MySpace label. They have their own label. I didn't know that. It just sounded great. I went, wow, who's this? It was mixed beautifully, it sounded nice, the song was good. And, I went like, wow, but 8 bands out of 700. And I just told Doug, my manager, and I said, Doug, can you phone these bands? Because I'd like to work with them. I'd like to see if I can somehow get in there, and just see if we can work together. But I tell you, it's, for bands nowadays, you have to think out of the box. You can't be like any other band. You might say, my favourite bands are, that's one thing, but to find your own identity, that's hard to do with 10 million bands. It's like American Idol. Even now, when you see American Idol, you see 70,000 solo singers, not bands, solo singers. They don't have bands. So or some of them do, obviously, but I bet you like 50% don't have bands. They sing in the kitchen, and then the parents go, you should get on that thing. So they go to American Idol, and some of them are not good at all, and they've been falsely praised, which I think is embarrassing for them. They should learn more and get true people, honest people that say, family can say, you're not ready yet. Don't embarrass yourself yet, not yet. Let's keep going. And maybe some people genuinely think they sound wonderful. But I think everybody, intuition, when something doesn't sound right, when it sounds really bad. I mean, just, what? You should be on American Idol. I mean, you wouldn't do that. But you hear them on the stage, and I go, oh, how embarrassing for them. How embarrassing. But nobody tells them the truth. And that's the ones, and imagine the ones that are sitting back, waiting for the next opportunity. But they have 70,000 people in each state they go in. So you can imagine, it's like, the talent out there is astronomical. And music will never die, and it will, and it's like, I think labels and, to me, there should be more independent labels where people can't afford to do their own recordings. There should be services that, they can take a percentage of downloads. but give you like a $5,000 advance, and say, listen, for every one you sell, you know, if they and if they believe in them, you know, but make it a short-term thing that they can own their own publishing, their own, because now it's fend for yourself, pay to play.
For a new band, how important is it that the drummer be able to play to a click track?
Unimportant. No, it's not necessary. I like it when it starts off 4/4 and ends up 7/8. Now, just kidding. Imagine it starts off 4/4, ends up 7/8. Now, there's something wrong. They have to work with a click track, a metronome, a click track, a digital click track. They can visually see it, and they audibly can hear it. Put headphones on, click, click, get it right, get it, because you are, the drummer is, nobody else really needs a click track, the drummer needs one. He is the pulse of that band. If he drifts, see, a lot of bands don't realise this. When a drummer plays drums and he doesn't have a click track, if he plays legato on a downbeat, like say he done like boom, bap, boom, bap, bap, boom, and he's a little late, minuscule, to the average listener might not hear it, and then people start overdubbing on it. So when the guitarist is playing, he'll go doom, down, 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 and of course now it's even more legato, because your attention now is everybody has to slow down milliseconds, a fraction before that, because the drummer was a little late, but nobody picked it up because he didn't play with a click track. So now when the singer goes, so you everywhere that I noticed when you go, everyone go, what the hell? Because now you've got 10 overdubs that are all playing slow to go with the bass drum, and now it's really obvious. So you go, my God, why did this happen? So now with a click track, you know, the drummer should learn, it's one of the most priority things. Don't rely on Pro Tools. Don't rely on saying, well, the Pro Tools can get it in time. Of course it can be put in time, but that's more work. It makes you lazier. It makes you not really a great player because you're relying on outboard gear or Pro Tools to make you, you know, get in time. When you're on stage, do you have Pro Tools? No, you don't.